So my initial thought when I first saw it, holy, oh my God, the sky is falling.
Maybe a bit early. You're good, Jeff. Just don't die over there.
The Detroit Pistons, at the end of the day, in my opinion, still might have the better backcourt in the long term as far as the ceiling of what they can do. And Cade's the type of prospect that can affect winning at a different level. We have $60 million in cap space next summer.
All right, Sean, break it down. Donovan Mitchell traded to the Cavs.
So my initial thought when I first saw it, when the Woj tweet hit at 3:33 p.m. yesterday, was holy, because it was a big move that was completely unexpected. The initial reaction, obviously, is the Cleveland Cavaliers now, on paper, have one of the best offensive backcourts and one of the best defensive front courts. You look at you look at a guy like Colin Sexton going in return to Utah, a guy who literally was gonna have to sign like a qualifying offer like next week, was getting almost little to no traction in the free agency market, now is a main piece used in Donovan Mitchell trade. I think for Cleveland, this is a huge step. And if you're looking at this from, from Detroit's perspective, I think a lot of people are feeling like the sky is falling and are freaking out a lot. But, this is more of a risk than people recognize. The Cavaliers gave up 5 picks total, 3 unprotected first round picks, 2 future pick swaps. So this has to work out for Cleveland, because otherwise they have a lot of draft capital in this going forward. However, they got one of the better shooting guards in the league. They got one of the more dynamic athletic scorers in the league. And to pair him alongside Darius Garland in that backcourt, on paper, definitely a scary team offensively.
Sean, I have to ask, you said they have to accomplish something really special. What is that exactly? Honest to God, because is Donovan Mitchell the best player in the East? And if he's not the best, is he top 3? Is he top 5? Is he top 10? Like, what is the realistic expectation moving forward with Cleveland? They have Evan Mobley, and now they have Donovan Mitchell. It's a hell of a young core. They still have other pieces around them. But I want to know, is it, we're going to contend in the conference, or I think we're just going to be a really good team in the regular season, but I don't see them getting anywhere in the next 3-5 years. What's the breakdown look like for Cleveland?
This is a team that definitely can be contending and towards the top of the Eastern Conference over the next couple of years. I think the key for what this roster has going for them is not only do you have 3 players that are current NBA All-Stars in Jarrett Allen, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell, but you also have a guy in a future All-Star in Evan Mobley on the wings as well, which is what makes this trade so unique and so special, is the fact that they still have all this talent in their arsenal. Now, the thing about this trade that makes it complicated is that if you're looking at the grand landscape of the current Eastern Conference of the NBA, it is one of the deepest Eastern Conference we've had in a long time. Even just within the Central Division, you still have Giannis, Drew Holiday to deal with. You still have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Lonzo Ball. So just because the Cleveland Cavaliers went and got Donovan Mitchell doesn't mean it's a guarantee. And for them, they are going to have to see some promising signs soon, because Donovan Mitchell only has 2 years left on his contract, and the Utah Jazz acquired unprotected picks that all take place after that contract expires. So Utah's gamble here is Donovan Mitchell isn't re-signing. So that's the type of thing that Cleveland's going to have to look at here, is we're going to have to put something together relatively quickly so that we make sure that he stays and we're not screwing ourselves over in the future.
And Sean, we talked about this last night too, about just that Central Division alone. It's a bloodbath. I mean, you look at the teams, especially in the next couple of years where the Pistons are going to be, the Pacers are trending. This division is tough. And I want to ask you, how does this trade affect the Pistons, affect the Central Division, but also how does it change, if it does, your expectations for the Pistons this upcoming season?
Yeah, Jeff, you brought up a great point, man. We brought it up on From Half Court, which you can go check out, by the way. Shameless plug here.
Yes,
no
sir.
Shame whatsoever. But here's what I will say, Jeff. First of all, the Central Division might be the best division of basketball both right now, but it definitely will be in the next year or two, because the Detroit Pistons this time next year are going to have over $60 million in cap space. In theory, they're trying to go after the similar plan that the Cleveland Cavaliers have right now. So when I'm looking at like how this affects the Pistons, like what the bottom line is, like how this affects the Central Division, I think right now it just adds a lot of depth. I think if you're looking at like from Detroit's perspective, you're going to have to face Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, Darius Garland 4 times a year, and that's not counting, your off night in the Central Division is against Tyrese Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin. And even though that team's going to be in the Victor Wembanyama like #1 overall pick sweepstakes, that's still not scrubs by any means. So it just shows that the balance of power in the modern NBA is at a point that, unlike where we ever seen, parity was something a few years ago that we were saying was a genuine problem. That's not a problem right now. That's for sure.
And Sean, on top of that, I did want to ask too, because we talked about this yesterday, but my biggest point was, and Pistons fans freaking out, the Pistons aren't where the Cavs are right now. The Pistons right now are trying to figure out what we have in our young core. The Cavs did that. They made the play-in. They made the playoffs. How does, in terms of the Pistons' perspective, how far away do you see, until Troy looks at this core and says, you know what, we're ready to take that next step and make that move? To me, it's about a year from now. But for Pistons fans sitting at home thinking, dang, man, they stole Donovan Mitchell. We're screwed. What is your opinion on where the Pistons are going and when a move like this could be made?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Jeff, to your point yesterday, there was a lot of things yesterday. We were going online and people were like, oh my God, the sky is falling. And that was not like the truth at all. Like in reality, the Detroit Pistons still have.
You bitch! You didn't see what I just did for you?
Dude,
I'm
look
out here
at that.
running my ass off.
Dude, you're talking about I need to add all this pizzazz.
Well, I'm doing it for you, damn it.
For me, just stop running your mouth. Anyway.
Jeez.
Anyway.
I'm running back and forth trying to listen to the goddamn interview and fix your damn green screen because you won't do it.
I love you too, Adam. Anyway, here's.
Can we have strippers behind him next time? All right, we got it. From now on, Sean, we're in control of what's behind you.
Oh no! Oh no! I might need to start figuring out the green screen if you're bringing that up. But anyway, in all seriousness, the Detroit Pistons, at the end of the day, in my opinion, still might have the better backcourt in the long term as far as the ceiling of what they can do. Because of the fact that because people are looking at Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell and they're looking at where they're at right now.
Exactly.
Which is valid because you have 2 guards that are all-star caliber offensive players, guys that can go get their own bucket, guys who can create shots for others. That's a skill that you absolutely have to have in this league. They're both 6'1". And a lot of people that watch Donovan Mitchell's game, and listen, I love Donovan Mitchell. I thought he was someone that could be a potential like next Dwayne Wade type player, but
gotta defend like Dwayne Wade.
After the bubble, he's had some pretty disappointing performances in the playoffs. People forget in the 2021 playoffs, the Utah Jazz were supposed to be in the conference finals. They were the #1 team in the West, but they lost to a Kawhi Leonard-less Clippers team in the second round, and a lot of it was because Donovan Mitchell both didn't step up in the offensive end, but he didn't step up on the defensive end either. So that's the thing that people are overlooking in this trade, is that Cleveland's going to have to figure this out defensively, and it can't all just be on their front court. They're going to have some guards that can stay in front of people too. So that's going to be the big thing for them. And for the Pistons, you have 2 guys that are insanely dynamic creators. You have 2 guys that can create their own shot. Jaden Ivey, who's insanely athletic, but they're both 6'5" and up. And that's something at the end of the day that you just can't teach. Cade Cunningham is already a good defender. Jaden Ivey has all the intangibles to be a great defender. So when I'm looking at those things, the Pistons just inherently, in that sense, have a step ahead, in my opinion. And also, like you talk about that plan and that vision with Cleveland, the Pistons have always been about a year behind where Cleveland's plan is at. And like I said about a minute ago, we have $60 million in cap space next summer. So next year is definitely a time where the Pistons can go out and make some moves. And quite frankly, get someone that might be on caliber with Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, look, Donovan Mitchell's a great pickup for Cleveland. And depending on Evan Mobley's ceiling, I think that determines where they go in their future.
Absolutely.
Darius Garland, nice player. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But as of right now, for the next 2 years, Cleveland has the up on Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
But the exception is that I think Cade Cunningham, and this may be a bit early. You're good, Jeff. Just don't die over there. This may be a bit early, but if we're talking ceiling, are we higher on Donovan Mitchell's ceiling in Cleveland or Cade Cunningham's in Detroit? And right now, I don't want to sit here and say at 25 years old, Donovan Mitchell has peaked.
Right.
But he is playing with Darius Garland. He is playing with Evan Mobley, a very nice player, but
Right.
I'm not floored away with their future. I think it's going to be a really good team, really fun to watch. But if I had to take a career over the next 7 years and who would have more success, I'd say it's going to be pretty even. Cleveland will dominate probably the first 2 years, 3 years of this deal, and by then Detroit will probably have caught up. Am I wrong, Sean?
Well, Adam, one thing you have to look at in all these trades and when you're having this type of perspective of everything that happened and where things are at, Donovan Mitchell wouldn't have been traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers if the Utah Jazz firmly believed that that was the guy that they could spark their rebuild around.
No,
that
it's
they
Utah.
could go
Come
and
on,
build
Sean.
around and
You're
be their
being nice.
franchise guy. But he was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for a reason, right? So I think with a guy like Donovan Mitchell, he has a really good game. There's a lot of things he can do on the basketball court and affect positive things, but there's levels to this, Adam, like you just said. And Cade's the type of prospect that can affect winning at a different level. And so looking at everything that he does on a basketball court for a team that helps you win games and puts players in positions to succeed, there's a reason why Cade was as high of a coveted number one pick as he was, and a reason why Donovan Mitchell, as great as he was a middle of the lottery guy, because that's, there's more Donovan Mitchells that come out each and every year than there are Cade Cunningham. That's just the way it is.
It's a great point.
Fair enough. Well, Sean, thanks so much for joining us this morning. You're great as always. We've got to get you on more often once the season ramps up. Can't wait to talk more. And remember, we're in control of your green screen now, bitch.
Hey, I'm going to be working my ass off to get this green screen looking great now. So by this time next time, you're
You're good. You're good. We'll talk.
Adam.
We'll talk. When we get back,